So it turns out that chapter 3 was actually one of the hardest chapters in Weird Strict Dad, at least until we get chapter 4. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some predictions, also some theories, some things that were revealed in chapter 3 that maybe you missed. Also make sure to stick around to the end of this video, as there's going to be a way for you to be involved in the next one. But if you are looking forward to Weird Strict Dad chapter 4, don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe. It'd be very much appreciated, and you won't miss out on when chapter 4 comes out. So chapter 3, which I'll briefly talk about how it starts out, and if you haven't actually beat chapter 3, I'll link a video down below in the description where we actually played it, so you can check it out after this. But you start out, as we predicted, with your dad, because your dad was cured, because in chapter 2 you used the cure to cure your dad in the end if you did not get the bad ending. And it turns out that you are now going to search for your mom with your dad. But it turns out that your dad straight up abandons you. Yes, I mean, literally left his kids. First he feeds us instant noodles like all day, and then he leaves us and to go on a boat and rescue mom all by ourselves. So he literally said that he had something to do for business, which was just like, I totally did not expect that. I thought honestly the dad was going to be with us on the boat and all the way there, but again, he left. So we had to go through the ship dealer, and then the whole boat scene in this chapter was totally unexpected, and it was also quite challenging as well, being that you got most of your noodles taken because that was the currency that you needed to get on to the ship. But yeah, the fact that your dad left you, I found that like, wow, really, Dad? So once you do that, you finally make it through and you go to a weapon shop where you just get a bat. They don't have any weapons, and from there you now enter Xenobus's lair, which turns out to be actually just a creepy basement. And I also want to point out that we did get some new insight on Xenobus, because we actually were able to fight multiple Xenobus. So it turns out that he sort of has like minions of himself, like different versions, which I thought was actually quite, well, technically I guess different versions of him. So it looks like he's not the only one, and this is like part of the powers that Xenobus has, apart from just turning you to weird and strict, at least. So that was on the boat scene. So we finally make it to Xenobus, and we can see that Xenobus has our mom captured, and it's time for us to save our mom. Now, Xenobus was actually waiting on us as well, so that's also something to keep in mind. So Xenobus, I think, knows more than what we think as well, and he was saying like, look, there was going to be some dire consequences like for your mom too. So he was like, if you want to save your mom, you have to fight me right now. And that's exactly what we do. We actually go after Xenobus, and we're not afraid, and we actually fight Xenobus. Now, I do suggest if you are playing this chapter to play it with multiple people, because it is quite challenging. I had to do the end bit like on my own at least. But however, if we are able to take out Xenobus with the bat, you do get an ending in which Xenobus gets defeated. Yes, you would think, right? That's the end of the chapter. You saved your mom, and mom is actually all right and not possessed. Now, there is something quite secret here. Now, this is where it starts leaning into chapter 4, and it does turn out that the chapters kind of pick up where they left off. It doesn't look like we'll get like a flashback chapter here or there anytime soon, but mom thanks you for saving her as well, and she's like, look, let's go home and meet your dad, the dad who actually left us to go handle some business. But as that's happening, Xenobus pops up with your dad and says, you will never defeat me ever. So Xenobus actually did not die, shows back up, and sort of like possesses our dad. And he says he's going to take like our dad with him. Good luck finding us in the sky. So literally puts on some Super Saiyan, I don't know, kind of moves and shoots into the sky like a meteor. Literally unbelievable. But however, one thing I do want to point out, right, is that as he's going into the sky, it sort of looks like the same exact shape that is in like chapter 2, where you have the heaven that like kind of pops into the sky. So I do believe that's actually possibly where they're going, not necessarily heaven, but somewhere like that plays a role in this game, at least, because that's exactly what it looks like. The same outline too. So I don't think they're just in the sky, but maybe it's some type of portal, which also kind of reminds me of all the creepy things that we saw in chapter 2 pertaining to the grandpa. So Xenobus takes your dad and goes into the sky, into somewhat of, I guess, like a portal in the distance, it kind of looks like, at least. And we're like, what do we do? But ironically, it turns out that there's an airport right behind us. So mom suggests that we can make use of the airport, and it says Weird Strict Dad to be continued. So that is where we actually end the game. By an airport, Xenobus takes our dad into space. Now, what is chapter 4 going to be themed on? I think it's definitely going to take place finally in another dimension, hopefully, or in the sky. I mean, you have to think, if we're taking an airplane into the sky, are we just going to be landing somewhere else? Because I don't think that where we are in general is really that important. Like, we don't know the name of our island that we're on. So if we were to fly to, let's say, another island, wouldn't really make too much sense, at least. But however, us going to another world or another dimension, maybe in the sky, Xenobus's dimension, I think could be something quite interesting. And even if like the developers are watching this, I think that would be quite cool. What do you think about that? Down below in the description, let me know. But Xenobus definitely has our dad, so I think we're gonna have to rescue our dad with our mom, but we are going to be having to take a plane, and I think on the way there, at least, chapter 4 is gonna be themed on the airplane. So I think that chapter 4 will be just on the airplane, and in the end of chapter 4, we're going to be arriving to where Xenobus and the dad is, but we won't necessarily be able to fight or save them in this chapter. But however, we may have some Xenobus, like maybe there's a pilot on there that gets possessed by Xenobus, because ironically, the airport was here where Xenobus had his base. So maybe he already possessed, let's say, the pilots or the staff. So I think that's what we're gonna have to worry about, and I think it's actually going to take place on the airplane. So not only will we possibly have to fuel, we have to possibly do something, we have to get back into our seats just in case the flight attendants are coming to check on us. And I definitely think there'll be multiple things, and if we don't actually fuel the generator, let's say on the airplane will crash or it runs out of fuel. I think there's going to be multiple things in this chapter, but if we think about it, on an airplane, you can do all those things. You can fuel the airplane, quote unquote, which is the generator. You can eat on the airplane as well. You can also sleep on the airplane and sit in your seat and get energy. So all these things meet up to the criteria of Weird Strict Dad. So I do feel like, again, it's going to take place on the airplane, and we're going to be on our way to the actual Xenobus, let's say, world dimension. And also, what do you think? Do you think our mom is going to be helping us as well in this chapter, or will she be the one that's actually possessed on the plane? I would love to know your predictions on that in the comments. But if you made it to the end of the video, I want you to comment down your best prediction on chapter 4, and I'm going to be including your comment. I won't be able to include them all, but I'll be trying my best to include a lot of them in the next prediction video on chapter 4. And I think we can also expect chapter 4 a lot sooner than we think. But if you are interested, you can watch this video here where there's going to be 20 unsolved mysteries in Weird Strict Dad that you did not know about. And I'll see you in the next one.